Now let's switch gears and talk a little bit about SAP as a case study, if you will, on how SAP uses social media to affect customer engagement. Quick comment from you on that. How does social media impact customer engagement when it comes to the way SAP? Give us some of the inside view here, how SAP thinks.
Well, you know, it's interesting. So SAP is one of the world's largest software companies, and you know, a lot of people, even internally, a lot of people have said for a while, sort of, well, are people really on Facebook looking at stuff about SAP? And the answer is yeah. We have strong Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn channels. We're doing some really interesting things. And you know, Margot is going to get a lot deeper into this, but for us, it's really about engaging at every level. Because as an enterprise software company, we're so often engaged with a purchasing person at another enterprise. We don't often get to interact with the end user. Social is great. Our customers, our end users, can go out and tweet to us and we'll respond. We'll have a dialogue with them. Maybe they need help. Maybe they have a question about the product. So for us, it's a really great channel to get a lot more intimate with our customer.
So for more on how SAP uses social media to impact customer engagement, we turn to Margot Heiligman from SAP. Margot, how are you?
Hey, Butch, I'm doing great, thank you.
I'm doing great too. We're glad to have you here. Now, you are the Director of Solution Management and Social Media Strategy for SAP. What's your role within SAP? What do you focus on?
Well, yeah, Butch, in fact, that is my role, specific to SAP's customer engagement solutions. So I don't cover social media and solution management for all of SAP, but specifically our solutions that appeal to VPs of sales, CMOs, directors of marketing, and customer service professionals. And in that role, I manage our social media strategy, understanding how we engage in our social media channels, what types of content that we share and promote through those social media channels, and how we analyze all the feedback that we're getting from customers and influencers through the social channels. And some of that is done in my role through our thought leadership and blogging programs, as well as in developing and building online communities and having those conversations throughout the communities.
So Margot, as we sit here today and talk about the impact of social media on customer engagement, let's start with this question. The relationship of social media and customer engagement. Talk a little bit about that.
Sure, Butch. Well, you know, social media isn't a strategy. Social media really is a cultural shift in how customers experience your brand. And that's something that you want to be able to deliver on, your brand promise, no matter if it's a social media channel or any other channel. So when you look at customer engagement and you think about all the things that you want to accomplish to engage customers in any channel, really, you're talking about reliability, responsiveness, convenience, and topics like relevance. And so in order to be able to deliver on those aspects of your brand promise, your social media has to stack up. So don't just think about building a Facebook page or starting a Twitter handle. Think really about where your customers are, how they may want to be engaging with you, and be sure to be a part of those conversations and be relevant. And those are the ways we think about the relationship from social media to customer engagement.
Let me say this, it seems to me, I could be wrong, but tell me if I am, that customer engagement is the how and the what you do. The social media part is how you think about it.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, Butch. In fact, I think there's also a big crossover when you look at content and you look at your brand. When you think about the type of content that will attract your audience in social media, you want to have content that is contextually relevant. You want to have content that helps provide awareness of your company and your products and your brand. You want to provide content that is engaging, that can achieve things like click-throughs and shares and comments. And you want to avoid doing things that would just sort of add a little noise to the conversation. You want to be more a part of that signal and not a part of the noise. The other thing is, I was recently reading a blog post by Michael Brito, and Michael's with Edelman Research. They're, I would say, sort of an agency think tank, and he talks about, great content to provide in social has to do with your brand and your brand promise and your messaging and your positioning. But even more valuable is when you bring in those third-party validations from influencers and from your customers and from your advocates. And when that becomes part of your content, it's even that much more powerful to share in your communities.
So let me ask you a follow-up to that. You sort of started going down this road, but what's the true impact of the right strategy and customer engagement mixed together? You mentioned that when the two meet, content and your brand, is where you start heading towards the impact. What's the true impact of it done right?
Well, social media plus nothing equals nothing. Social media alone is not going to provide any of the impact that we're looking to achieve. I think, as I mentioned, getting those influencers in the conversation, getting those advocates and customers to speak for you and be a part of the community in which you're having these conversations with other potential customers, that's really where you start to see an impact. And impact can mean, certain metrics such as how many page views, how many impressions. It can be how many downloads your content leads to. It could be, a lead, an L1 or an L2 in your lead funnel. So some of those are the ways that we look at the impact. But I think equally important is just think about if a customer is looking to reach out to you and your brand. Maybe in the past, the customer would post online somewhere the question, what's a great customer service solution for the banking industry? And maybe you would go ahead and send a link back to your website, in our case, sap.com, for example. Well, that was kind of a very rudimentary approach. And these days, what we would do, and sort of the modern marketing way of looking at it, would be to think of a more nuanced and a more relevant, very personalized way of participating in that conversation. And that could mean sending that interested customer to a community or to a forum, or perhaps a video of a customer testimonial, customer of yours using a product or a solution, and then getting other validation around that solution. And that's a way that I would point a social customer today, and that shows that the impact of that is far greater and there's much more engagement.
Excellent. We're talking with Margot Heiligman of SAP, Director of Solution Management and Social Media Strategy. Margot, off the top, you mentioned that social media is simply brands engaging with their customers. Let me ask you about being socially engaged. How can we influence how our brands are perceived in the context of being socially engaged?
Sure, Butch. Well, in the past, what would be the way that you engage with a brand or a company or a product in the past? You would either walk into a retail store and take a look at it, or call an 800 number. Maybe you'd get a catalog in the mail. Well, today it's a lot different. Obviously, there are a number of other ways that we can engage. And I think one of the key things in social media is trust. So the way that you develop trust in social media is essentially by being human, by being responsive, by being very helpful, by owning the either issue or problem, or owning the conversation and being able to provide something valuable to your customers. So I think today customers are going to decide how and when they're going to engage with your brand. They're going to decide which method, and maybe even beyond the Facebooks and the Twitters, we have so many options today, from Instagram and WhatsApp and Snapchat, in so many ways, that in fact, you just want to let that experience be uninterrupted and make sure that your brand is going to be the signal above the noise and really providing a beacon amidst the fog, so to speak, where a lot of resounding truths are able to be put forward for your customer who's engaging with you.
Right. So you mentioned trust. Like respect, trust is not something you just gain. It's something you earn. You mentioned ways that you can become trusted by being human, by being responsive, by being helpful. Let's talk about making engagements more meaningful and how you do that. Because when you do that, that's when you start to earn trust and establish trust, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. So ways that we're doing this at SAP today are really by understanding who's leading some of these conversations, who are some of the leading thought leaders, who are some of the trusted advisors and third-party influencers in these conversations. And you learn that as you start to become an author of blogs, as you participate in blogging communities and other third-party online communities, as well as your own communities, you start to see who's commenting, who's engaging, who's sharing, who's giving you feedback, positive or negative. Once you learn and you're able to accept and really digest all of that feedback, you can start to make some real changes. Looking at some of the social tools out there, we have our own SAP Social Media Analytics by NetBase, which we use. And we can really see for a very specific product, what are some of the likes, what are the dislikes, what are some of the behaviors, and some of the attributes, and really learn, take that feedback and bring it into our product roadmap and be able to adapt our next generation of solutions based on that very valuable social feedback.
So Margot, as we continue to talk about the impact of social media on customer engagement, you've done a great job here, both giving us an overview of the relationship of social media and customer engagement, rolling your sleeves up and talking about the true impact of it and how to do it, building trust and all those things. How about some case studies, if you will? Who's doing this well? Who's building trust with their audience, engaging them in the right way, and really building a relationship, an ongoing dialogue, trust, and respect with their customers?
Well, Butch, there are a number of companies out there, and I'm thinking one that comes to mind, and I was a very long time customer of a company called T-Mobile, who a lot of us know. T-Mobile has been engaging in social channels, social as a customer service channel for a long time. And I know Brent Leary speaks about the Social Customer Engagement Index recently put together by Social Media Today, where companies like T-Mobile are really rising to the top in terms of some best practices. They're engaging, I believe, around 30,000 customers a month, and they're owning all of the issues that come up. They're very human in how they respond. They're very apt and able to own issues that come up. And the last point of interaction is going to be with T-Mobile. There's no buck to pass to anyone else. And they've really gotten a lot of accolades out in social circles for their ability to respond fast and completely. And I've tested it out myself and engaged with T-Mobile, and I've gotten responses in under a minute. So it's really impressive. They're personalizing their dialogues, and they're making customers really feel liked and loved.
Yeah, I think they're a great example because you can't get in a car now or drive around or even go on television without them doing mainstream ads. But years ago it was you led with your budgets and spent money on mainstream ads. What they really did was build up their social media and customer engagement. And now those ads are drawing attention and making me want to go to their social channels and engage with them.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And there's another company that comes to mind, Procter & Gamble. You may have seen during the Winter Olympics, they had some beautiful stories about moms. And, they took a look at their customers and thought, what's behind all these great athletes at the Olympics? It's really a supportive family, and moms have been there to take youngsters to all of their skating practices and skiing lessons. And the whole salute to moms was, really had a big emotional appeal. And then they tied that storytelling back to social and invited customers to engage and tell them their story about their moms. And all of that, the emotional appeal and the impact was really, really valuable for them. And I think made the Olympics a lot more personal.
So Margot, let's finish with this. How do we know if we're successful, if we're on the right track with our efforts on trying to make the impact of social media meaningful on customer engagement?
I mentioned earlier, Butch, that we obviously use social analytics to gain some understandings and see areas where we can improve and also look for ways to optimize. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is paint a 360-degree view of our customers. And really, we want to be those, the reliable, the convenient, the responsive, and the relevant brand, product, and company out there. We're doing this through social channels, but obviously there are many other channels to engage, such as the web and mobile and various others. And so at the end of the day, we're looking to achieve what we do in social across the company and in other channels as well. And I think ultimately we want to be channel agnostic, and the experience that our customers have with SAP is the same and unified no matter how they choose to engage with us.
So again, she is Margot Heiligman. She's the Director of Solution Management and Social Media Strategy at SAP. And Margot, I can say this with confidence because we've worked together long enough now. You not only do it, you live it. So you like when people are reaching out to you and engaging with you. How do you prefer that people do that?
Sure. Please feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. I'm M. Heiligman on Twitter, and through SAP CRM. Our Twitter handle is at SAP CRM. And you can find SAP overall as a company on LinkedIn company page. And you can find us on Facebook as well at SAP CRM. Thank
Margot,
you.
great conversation. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Butch.
Some interesting comments from Margot Heiligman from SAP about how SAP uses social media to impact customer engagement. So how do you? Your comment about that.
It's funny. We've used social media before social media was a term. We had the SAP Developer Network for a long time.
Millions strong.
Exactly. And today it's been rebranded the SAP Community Network because we're trying to broaden that and take advantage of the fact that more people are using social as an interaction channel. But frankly, this is something that we've done for a long time. Just people didn't think of it as social. But I think it's great. It brings our customer base together, and it gives the world the opportunity to see what SAP is doing and what people are doing with SAP.